To remain updated with the latest business news, click on the bell icon.
Hello and welcome to a special conversation on our most powerful women issue in the BT magazine. It's one that's much awaited, and this year once again has several surprises and several key profiles to talk about. Let me welcome in the team Krishna Gopalan, Deputy Editor at Business Today magazine. We have Vidya S, Special Correspondent, Smita Tripathi, who's also a Senior Editor at BT Magazine, and Dilasha Seth, Assistant Editor. Thanks so much for joining us, and this is a team that's really put this power-packed edition together. So Krishna, first tell us some of the overarching themes that you went with this time. I know that we have, of course, some women that appear on the list year after year, and they have now been, awarded a House of Fame status, while you've had several, I think a record number of debutantes in 2021.
Yes, thank you, Abba. I think it also is a testimony to the fact that we really have an enterprising list in that sense. So the whole idea is to make it as eclectic as possible, to get in a fair share of debutants, and without making it sound like a cliche. The whole idea was to ensure that they were indeed women achievers in the field or in the sphere that they operated in. So it could be entrepreneurs, could be people heading large organizations. But the cutoff in that sense was very simple. They ought to have made a difference to the organization they work for, and the difference should have been absolutely palpable. So that's broadly what we're looking at, Abha.
And the fact that this was a year post-COVID, Krishna, was there, a major change to the moves on the list, or did you find a number of, businesses resilient?
Well, I think to be fair, a lot of businesses did face a lot of heat because of COVID, and you will bear with me when I say, let's say a sphere like hospitality, obviously didn't have an easy time. But that said, you also had a lot of businesses that did rise to the occasion, pharmaceuticals perhaps being a fine example, or financial services. So yes, there were a couple of surprises in that list, in that context.
I do see a number of women from the health and pharma space on the list. Smita, Falguni Nayar made the cover naturally, given that Nykaa grabbed all the headlines with its listing and toppled all the other unicorns run by male founders. So it was very inspiring to see. Take us through the kind of resonance this has with women aspiring to be on a list like this. The fact that someone like a Falguni, who decided to set up her own business in her 50s, is today a billionaire, topping most of the other, male-funded startups on that list.
Yeah, thanks, Abha. Falguni has been very inspiring for everyone, and I think Nykaa as a brand has resonated with the young Indian women. It was oversubscribed almost 80 times in the IPO, and that's because it's a brand. It's a brand which resonated. Unlike, if it's just a well-run company, then it's oversubscribed on 10 or 15 times. But this was because, it was something that everybody, there were people cheering for it. There were young women who were cheering for this brand, and that's how the IPO went where it went. And Falguni's just been an inspiration because, it just shows that whereas most people go on the entrepreneurial route in their mid-20s to 30s when they don't have that much to lose. Here's the lady who was at the top of her career. She was an investment banker for over 18 years. And then she decides to give it all up to, jump into and take the entrepreneurial route. And she's done really well. And we've seen in just 8 years where Nykaa has reached.
Absolutely. Dilasha, let me bring you in here as well, because of course there are questions around valuations, around prospects for the industry, so on and so forth. In your, in-depth look at Nykaa, its story, and Falguni's rise as an entrepreneur, what were some of the key things you discovered?
So, I would say that the blockbuster debut that we saw for Nykaa is just a tip of an iceberg for the fashion and beauty and personal care segment. I mean, looking at the various estimates that people have for the sector, so currently, if you look at the online penetration of India's beauty and personal care market, it's just 8%. I mean, that's the figure for 2020. It's expected to rise, to 35 to 40% in the next decade. And in fact, HSBC has said that they expect this entire beauty and personal care segment to capture a market, expects the market share to expand exponentially in the next decade and grow 6 times, the market for this segment to grow 6 times in the next 15 years. So looking at all that, there's a great potential for the sector. Now, what are the factors contributing to it? Coming to the rise of influencers, as you see, they are, all over social media, and we're all getting influenced by them. And in rise in disposable incomes, now where is the demand coming from? The tier 2 cities, that's the future, tier 2 plus cities, because there the disposable incomes are rising because the female participation in labor force is going up. Now their interaction with the social media is increasing, and also I would say the internet penetration is also rising. More and more people in the smaller towns and cities are grabbing, mobile phones, and they have great internet connectivity. So all that, e-commerce is getting a push, and so is online beauty segment as well. And the females in these sectors are, of course, becoming very aspirational as well. So that's where I think the growth is going to come from in the future. That's the reason analysts are very, very bullish about this sector.
Okay, bullish about the sector, and that's why Falguni has, of course, made it to the top of the list this time around. Vidya, you've done a very detailed story on, women in the workplace when it comes to India, some of the key shifts that we've seen and how much further there is to go. Some of those stats were really interesting. Take us through some of those highlights.
Right, definitely, Abha. So, we've had some cause for cheer in 2021 with Soma Mandal taking on the role of the first ever woman chairperson of the public sector unit SAIL. And we've also seen Falguni Nayar steer her decade-old startup to a very successful IPO. And we've also seen Ola Electric announcing an all-women workforce for its upcoming two-wheeler factory near Chennai. But, all of these are really exceptions more than the norm, because if you look at India's female labor participation rate, it is one of the lowest in the world at 21%. Even Bangladesh and Sri Lanka fare better than us at more than 30%. And even if you look at these very particular sectors that have brought in some cause for cheer, like manufacturing and startups and the executive positions that the women hold in India, these are really, really low. And we have a long way to go is what we understand by looking at the World Economic Forum report also, which has found that the gender gap has actually been increasing in India, and it is currently at 37.5%. And that has accorded us a 140th rank out of 156 countries. So, we really have a long way to go in terms of gender equality at work.
Vidya, in your view, what are some of the corporates, and some of them in fact run by the power women on our list, what are they doing to build a pipeline when it comes to leaders and when it comes to really approaching organizations and culture, with inclusivity and diversity in mind?
A very interesting point came up while speaking to a lot of eminent voices from the industry, which is that just focusing on the entry-level workforce is not going to help, because the way the country is structured, just populating it bottoms up is not going to work for them, is what they tell me. Instead, focusing on getting more women leaders in very senior management positions is the way to go, is what they tell me. And a lot of them have been working towards this, and they've set some targets also. But, again, the World Economic Forum report again shows that we only have 8.9% firms in India which have top managers which are women. So, again, it's really just a start, and we have a long way to go there as well.
All right. Talk us through some of the newer names on the list, that you featured this time around.
Well, a couple of interesting names. We had Vinati Saraf Mutreja from Vinati Organics, and company that's largely into specialty chemicals. Very fascinating story. Took over the company right after her graduation and had the job of turning the business around. And she spoke quite candidly about the whole issue of coming in pretty much wet behind her ears, but given the onerous task by her father. Also, the story of Namita Thapar is rather interesting. A person who qualified as a chartered accountant when she was just 21, went overseas to finish her MBA, worked in the US for about 6 years before coming back to run a pharmaceutical business back in India, Emcure. And this is a time Blackstone picked up a stake in the company and she grew the business, the India business almost 4 or 5 fold. So there have been some remarkable stories. So to my mind, the interesting bit is the heterogeneity across sectors in terms of presence. So you probably had a preponderance of women in the past, largely financial services, for example. That's not the case anymore. It's almost, as Vidya spoke of Soma Mondal and SAIL, it's almost impossible to keep a sector out of a situation where a woman is not the CEO, if you know what I mean. So it's manufacturing, it's pharmaceuticals, it's hospitality. So you name it, you'll have a top position occupied by a lady at some point.
And do you feel, Smita, maybe you could add to this in terms of how how women are associating or resonating with the idea of power and influence? Is that evolving with the number of newcomers on power lists like ours?
Yes, I think definitely that's definitely happening. There are lots more women who are now a part of our list because they are reaching places. I mean, we are the proverbial glass ceiling is being shattered, and although as Vidya pointed out that the number of women, the percentage is still very low, but I think we're now on the right path, and this is just the way forward.
Vidya, how many of the names on the list were also names that we've had recurring? Talk us through a few others that grabbed the headlines this year.
Yeah, so we've had 17 debutants. So other than the 17, we've had the others, appear in our list in some form or the other. So we've had really eminent names to newcomers to repeat featurers, and also some who have come in after a break. So some of the names I think that come to my mind, I can speak of a debutant. I think would be Vinita Singh. I wrote a profile on her, so I can speak about that. She's run her Sugar Cosmetics, has made some significant revenues, and it has gained a lot of good valuation, and it has in a very short span of time adopted the D2C model and come into the list. We've also had we've had Soma Mandal, we've had Hashbina Zaveri. We've had a lot of interesting women, and it has been absolutely wonderful speaking to every one of them while during the course of reporting.
Dilasha, what about you? That's two from the beauty space now that you were discussing earlier. Which are some of the other profiles that stood out to you?
One is Arundhati Bhattacharya, who's made a comeback to the list. I mean, she was a banker, and from banker out to retirement, she's joined a completely new space for her, which is the IT sector. And that's highly commendable because, while speaking with her, I realized that, she said that she does not know anything about the IT sector, but what she's bringing to the table is the how to deal with customers, and that is, I think, how women. This shows that women are, no longer, there's no inhibition about which sector to be in future, and being such a strong banker as a banker lady that she was, and coming into the IT space, which is an upcoming field, which is, I think, the future, next decade is going to be the decade of the IT, joining at the head of Salesforce India. It actually stood out for me. And second was Sindhu Gangadharan, who's with SAP Labs, who's heading India's SAP Labs India, because how she brought about, how she actually helped India during the time of COVID using technology and connecting the demand and supply for oxygen where it's needed using technology. So that really stood out for me, these two profiles.
Very inspiring to see some of these names, and across sectors like you've all mentioned, from manufacturing to tech and entrepreneurs. There are, of course, those that are now on the Hall of Fame, and Krishna, these are names that we've seen year after year, of course, and we continue to recognize them for their phenomenal achievements, as well as the kind of influence and the kind of inspiration they provide to some of the generations following. Do you want to take us through some of those names as well? And of course, we look forward to seeing some of these ladies at the upcoming BT Most Powerful Women Awards, which will take place shortly in Mumbai.
Yes, certainly. But I think the name that comes to mind instantaneously is that of Lena Nair and the announcement that
Of
came through
course.
yesterday. I think the significant part, as I realized following my conversation with a couple of people who knew her rather well, it's not so much about Chalet picking up a woman to run the organization. That's happened in the past. The fact that they chose an Indian, and it's interesting because Lena was actually the head of human resources for Unilever. To pick her out to run a full-blown P&L responsibility, I think is a complete tribute to the fact that there's a certain belief in her level of competence.
Yeah.
So I think the bigger story, maybe just 5 years down the line, when we're perhaps going to be sitting together in the midst of a discussion like this, we'll have a lot of women out from India, but on the global list. I think that will be a story worth tracking.
Absolutely. What an outstanding move, and what a way to end the year after 30 years at HUL. And she's been a figurehead almost on the power list year on year. And Lena Nair now moving to a global role at Chanel, being congratulated by everyone, including, of course, PepsiCo's Indra Nooyi. Do take a closer look at all of those stories in the Business Today Most Powerful Women issue, now on stands. And from the entire team here, thanks so much for joining us for a deep dive into the makings of the issue. We look forward to hearing many more such stories in time to come.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.